Hello and welcome to today's Monday meditation. I hope you had a good weekend and that the week started good for you. I mean, it is Monday after all, so that should be a start to something at least. Today I thought we'd talk about money since we finished last week with discussing FU money, which is, I think it was JVB. I don't know if you're here today, JVB, or who's in chat. I see a few people. But FU money is basically money that you have so much money that you don't care about anything. And we concluded that the reason we want to have that kind of money is because when we have what appears to be just not infinite, but just so much money you cannot spend it, then you can do whatever you want. Hey, Stephen, nice to see you. How you doing today? Poopers. Need to see. I forgot my mouse. Do you have a good topic otherwise that you'd like to talk about today, Stephen? You always have lots of interesting stuff on your mind. So I'd be happy to talk about something else if money is not something you'd like to bring up. Or something even more interesting to think about than money. I mean, in the end, I feel kind of silly when I do these kind of things because in the end, it's all the same thing. It's all what we're distorting towards. It doesn't really matter if it's money, if it's fame, if it's women or men, or it's the same stuff. We have some kind of resistance. Money is fine. Good, yeah. Because it's I heard such an interesting thing today with someone who worked as a coach and he had friends who were billionaires. And he was saying that it was a bit amazing to him because he was not having much money at the time. Money is necessary in today's society to live comfortably. Absolutely. And I agree. You need to have money to live comfortably. Well, technically speaking, you could live without money, but it's just more difficult. Today you could... society would in most countries, not in America, but most other countries, they do take care of you if you don't have anything. Or many other countries, I should say. In the Western world, at least. So there are ways you can live without having to earn money. But then there's severe restrictions on how you live. But even if you didn't want to have money completely, you could still just go off and live in the forest. You could work for a while, buy the tools you need, and you would have amazing tools that no one 1,000 years could ever dream of having, or even just a few hundred years ago. The tools you could bring with you into the forest for just a tiny amount of money. We're talking you could get tools that I have in the shed that we simply don't use that you could get for free. And that would be better than the best carpenter had in 500 years ago. Maybe not actually. They probably had pretty good tools that they could maintain. But we have tools that they simply didn't have access to. And I'm not just talking about electrical tools. So if you wanted to, yes, you could live without money, but it's so much easier to have money. Life just becomes simpler when you have enough money. The problem with money is that most of us don't want to have enough money. We want to have an abundance of money. We want to have so much money that we can just say F you to everyone. I'm going to do whatever I want. And even if you don't want to have those kind of astronomical amounts of money, you still want to have more money than just having enough to live a comfortable life. Most people want to live a comfortable life, 2 cars, a big home, and they want to go on vacations, and they want to have all these nice things in their homes. In other words, we want much more than just what's necessary. See, if you think about it, what you really want is what you really need is not really that much. The amount of money you need to survive. If you really tried, you could live on... You could find a patch of land somewhere out in the countryside somewhere and grow your own crops and do as much as you could. You could make food that was not too expensive. You wouldn't really need that much money. And it would be possible to live a bit, not completely off-grid, but a little bit off from the beaten path so that you could live a life without having to spend so much money to live a comfortable life. So for many, it's not just that we need money, but we actually want more than a little bit of money. And we have all these things about money that makes that difficult. Now, this is not law of attraction or how to manifest your dream job or something like that. That's not what I'm talking about here. But I am talking about something that I call path clearing, which is the idea that, and I think in a way, law of attraction looks at it the same way, but they do it from the perspective that, oh, I want to get stuff, so I'm going to get rid of this. The way that I look at it is that we want to get rid of these resistances so that you can feel good and be happy. And then maybe that means you're going to get more money, but at least your odds of being able to do that are going to increase, and it'll be much easier for you to do it when you don't have all this crap hanging over you. So the thing that, sorry, I never finished the story that I started on. The thing that he was discovering, this coach that he was talking about, was that I spoke about before, is that he felt like he didn't have enough money. He felt like he was so poor and he didn't have any money at all, he felt. And then he had all these friends who were billionaires or millionaires, and they felt like they didn't have enough money. They needed more money. They felt like they were poor. They wanted to have the same amount of money as someone else. And then he thought, well, this is really strange. Like, how come they have the same problem I have when, if I compare myself to someone living in rural India who have nothing, like I have loads of money, he said, in comparison. I live such a comfortable life. So it's all a matter of what we compare ourselves to. That's one part of it. The other part is we have resistance towards money or about money. And what I've found is that a lot of people who are into the spiritual world have a lot of bad feelings about money, meaning they feel guilty about money. They feel that they shouldn't have money because if I have money, then I took it from someone else. Or if I get money, I need to share it with everyone. So the idea of actually making money creates a lot of distortion in them. There's a lot of emotional pressure that makes them feel uncomfortable when they think about money. So if you're sitting there listening to this and you think like, well, I don't have that, then think, what would it be like to earn whatever you earn now, then take that times, I don't know, like let's say 20 or 20 times as much as you earn now, whatever that number is. Just think that in your head, like what would it be like to earn 20 times as much as you earn now? Would that be okay? Like, is that like selfish, unreasonable? Like, could you actually earn that kind of money? Would you feel bad about that? How about if you earn 50 times, or let's say 100 times what you earn now? And I'm talking about per year. Would that be okay? Or is there something in you feel like, no, I can't earn that kind of money? Like, when does that limit come in that makes you feel that? In that limit, there is an emotional resistance that makes you feel uncomfortable when you have that amount of money. Now, inversely, there's also a lower limit to that. So whatever money you have or earn now, if you would turn that down a few notches so it's actually lower than that. So say that whatever you earn now, you earned half of that. Or let's say 1/10 of that. Again, very likely if you're living in the West and listening to this, 1/10 of what you earn is an absolute fortune to someone living in India or Sri Lanka, or out in the countryside in like Africa. Like, there's lots of places where 1/10 of what you earn is insane money. I remember when I was in Sri Lanka, the people who did the rubber from trees, they had rubber trees, and they would go and like collect the rubber kind of from these. They would cut these things around and like take out the rubber, and I think they earned 400 rupees per day, which was the equivalent of $50 per day. That was their like daily wage, and then they needed to live from that. So again, if you took what you earn and took 100th of that, would that be more than 5 kroners per day? Let's say 5, 50, 100. Yeah, that's reasonable. Probably even more than what they earn there. So when does the lower limit say that, okay, now I feel so uncomfortable that I can't? Because obviously there's, like, just like Stephen said, there's a limit to what amount of money you need to live. So there's almost like a range where we feel comfortable. Like, if I earn more than that range, then I will feel very uncomfortable because no one in my family ever earned that much, or rich people are like that, and I don't want to be like that. So you have these ideas of what you would need to do to earn that kind of money, and then you resist that. Or, like I said, on the lower end, there's a limit to, well, I am worthy of this, like whatever that number is. And we tend to stay within this range because going too low or too high up will make you feel uncomfortable. See what Stephen is saying here. He's saying, Stephen, everything is about status nowadays. That's why money is so important. Otherwise, having enough to provide basic needs is enough. I agree. Like, for basic needs, we don't need as much as we probably think we do. Problem is, of course, like, where do you draw that line? Well, I need 2 cars, so we need a new car. Can you drive a car that's 20 years old? I mean, is that possible? My car is, 13. No, it's more. It's 14 years old. And I had a car that was even older before, and that the motor broke down on that one. So, like, I have no problem driving an old car, but there's a lot of people who would say, like, no, I need a car that is over 10 years. You cannot drive. It's too old. So whatever limit you have in your mind of what you need, is that an absolute, or is that just something you made up, or that you think that you need? So Stephen is right. A lot of money and the way we see money today has to do with status. And then we come into the other part that, okay, so is it anything bad to earn money just to buy stuff? Like, is there anything wrong with that? Say you wanted to have a car, like you wanted to have a new car. Is there something wrong with driving around in a new car? I used to think, like, well, if I had that kind of money, I would still never buy a new car because I wouldn't waste that money. Like, that would just be stupid. Like, why would I go out and buy a new car when I know that it will depreciate in value just as soon as I drive it off the parking lot? I'd much rather buy a used car. And that makes sense. Like, but if I had $100 million in my bank account, why would I care? Like, there's no reason for me to not. In fact, I would be doing society a service by buying a new car, because I would be putting a new car into the pool, and they could, like, phase out, like, old like cars that don't have as good, what do you call that, the emission controls and stuff like that, and I buy an electric car. So there's all these reasons, like, why do you think you're not allowed to have these things? That's also a thing, because Stephen, you're correct in what you're saying, that a lot about money. Hey, Shalav, nice to see you. I'm not sure if I've seen you before. I recognize the name, actually. I can't remember. There's a lot of things that we have against status as well. Like, in other words, is it okay to have these things? And does it have to be about status? Could it actually just be a nice convenience to have a new car? I mean, as I said, my car is, I think, 14 years old. I would love to have a new car. That would be amazing. It would be really nice. I wouldn't have to, like, fix and do stuff like I do now, because it does break down. It does require a bit of extra service, and there's, like, some things that aren't working the way it should. But it's okay. It functions to what it needs to do, so that's okay. But it would be very nice to have a completely new car that I wouldn't have to deal with that, because it was new and it had insurance and it just functioned, hopefully, because new cars can also have problems. But it's less likely to have problems, and you could very likely just go to a car mechanic, the dealer, and they would take care of the problem for you. So we have all these things around money that makes us feel uncomfortable or comfortable. And that also, because we talked about cars, and Stephen was talking about status. Does it have to be about status? And I agree the status is something that we just do because I want to feel better because of the car I drive. Okay, that might be, there's a lot of self in that, and that is not really useful in the long run. But does that mean you cannot drive a new car? Does that mean you cannot buy a new phone? Does that mean that you cannot have fancy clothes? Like, why do we put these limits on ourselves? Like, I feel bad about this, I feel good about this. Instead of simply saying, well, I earn this amount of money, like, this is the amount of money I earn, and then I live within the means that I have. If I want to earn more money, then I could buy this fancy car, or like the fancy car I could earn, but then that would mean that I would have less time at home with my family, to myself, I would have more stress in my life. And then that's a trade. Am I willing to make that trade to get the shiny new car? And for me, absolutely not. Like, I would not make that trade. But maybe for someone else they would. So it's a matter, what do you want to do? But if I was able to work less and buy the new car, would I do that? Absolutely. Why not? I see Shalev is saying, but instead of buying a new car, which might have some good for society, you could also spend that money directly on something that would do good for society. Shalev, you could still buy new things, but I think it needs to be reasonable. Even if I had a lot of money, I'd still hope I'd think about waste, and I'd really need those things. Here's another thing. Because of hearing you say that makes me immediately think about, okay, so there's a part of you that feels like you have to do things for others, or that the actions you take has to help society. That means there's a distortion there. why does it have to help society? There's lots of people who do things just because they feel like it. Are they bad people? Is there something wrong with them? Do you need to help all of society, or is it okay to just help the people around you? Do you need to help your society, the people you like, or is it better if you help people on the other side of the planet? Or does it need to be people who are in a certain situations? Like, what are the norms for who you should or shouldn't help? And what does that say about you? Does that create a sense of identity that now you're identifying with, well, I'm a good person because I don't do selfish stuff with my money. I just help other. And I used to think this a lot until I realized that was a huge part of my identity, a strong sense of distortion. Because now I would go around and look at people who spend all this money on cars, and I'd be like, oh, look at them waste that money and buy a new car like that. That's such a oh, it's bad for society, it's bad for nature. And I would have all this distortion. I would feel bad about that because I identified as someone who was a good person, who used my money in such a way that was responsible for nature and the planet. And again, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing to do. What I'm saying is, do you need to feel bad about that? Do you need to identify with that? Do you think that if you didn't feel bad about it, you could still actually do those things? Sichelev is saying, I guess that goes deeper to my perception of capitalism and money. If you spend a lot of money, you're redirecting labor and resources towards those things. Money is just a symbol. How do you mean that money is a symbol? For me, money is just like a vehicle or a way of allocating resources. If you had a lot of money, that means, just like you say, you can allocate resources to do that. My point is not so much about what you do. My point is about what feelings you have about what you do and other people do. In other words, we make ourselves feel bad. So for you, if you all of a sudden won a new car on the lottery, you might feel bad about that because, oh no, it's a new car. I shouldn't have a new car. I'm going to give it away and I'm going to buy a cheaper car for them, or sell it cheaply and then buy a new car for that money, or take the money and donate it and then I've had thoughts like this. So if I won a car, I would sell it and then I'd give a bit of it away because you should give to everyone, and then I'd keep part of it and buy a car to myself and just what I need, but then I should do tithing and all these things. We make ourselves feel really bad because of these identities that we try to uphold and make sure that other people see us as good people, because we don't want to be seen as bad people. The problem is that no matter what you do, there's someone who's going to view you as a bad person. You can never live up to everyone's expectations. It's just impossible. Absolutely impossible. When I was a Buddhist monk, I traveled between Asia and Europe, and I can tell you that the way people lived in specifically Plum Village, where I spent a lot of time, if I would behave the way the monks behaved there in a center in Asia where I was, I would have been thrown out. There was no way they let me stay there. And if I would have been behaving the way I did in Asia in the centers in Plum Village, they wouldn't want me to stay because that would be selfish and too much into sitting and walking meditation and just weird stuff for them. So again, you can never please everyone. So these rules and ideas and limits you put on yourself are just making you kind of feel like I need to stay within this limit. Again, I'm not saying you need to buy a new car. There's no reason to. Like I said, if I had $100 million in my bank account, why not? I could do that. But I would need quite a bit of money before I would feel like, it makes sense for me to buy a new car. Why would I? I don't need a new car, so I wouldn't do that. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't. That doesn't mean you should feel bad about wanting to do that. Hey, JVB, nice to see you. So when we look at the feelings we have about money, it's not just the money itself. It's also the things we buy with money. We put a lot of limitations and make ourselves feel bad about money. I mean, when we talked about cars and what we would do with that money, but think about what kind of person would you be if you earned, like we say, let's just say 10 times as much as you earn now. Would you feel comfortable with that? Would you really feel okay with that? Or would you find ways of spending that money? If you don't feel comfortable with that, why? What is it that you have inside of you that is resisting that? Because very likely it has something to do with your idea of what people who have money do or who they are as a person. Are they good people? Are rich people good people, or are rich people bad people? Or does it have nothing to do with whether they're rich or bad? Like if you're rich or poor, does that have nothing to do with whether you're a good or a bad person? To me, it has nothing to do with that. It seems, though, sometimes like that when you get insanely rich, it would be very difficult to get there without focusing so much on money that you would miss a lot of other things. Is my perception, because I don't see how it would be possible. And I'm talking like billions of billions. It's just very difficult to earn that kind of money without really focusing on that. And very likely you're missing something else. But that's a choice. If you want to do that, fine. Why would I feel bad about you behaving like that and living that kind of life? Sishalev is saying, I guess it also depends on how you made that money. If you took advantage of others and gave your workers good working conditions and salaries, or I'm assuming, or if you did not. Absolutely. But again, this ties into something else. Now you're talking about are you talking about you, or you're talking about someone else? Because even if they did that and you would consider them a bad person, why would you feel bad about that? Why would you feel bad about someone else doing that? That's just what they do. You're not going to change their minds by you going around feeling bad. So you're basically ruining your experience of life because someone else did something you don't agree with. That makes no sense. You're going to punish yourself for what they did? I mean, that's basically what you do. There's lots of people who does absolutely batshit stuff that is just so insane. I'm like, what on earth are you thinking about? But why do I need to go and feel bad about it? If I'm not going to do anything about it, there's no point in it. And if I'm going to do something, I would like to do that from a place of actually enjoying and feeling good, where I come from happiness and calmness and peacefulness, rather than going in like, those damn people like doing stuff I don't like, and then you have all this anger in you. Stephen is saying, reminds me of the quote, you can't have your cake and eat it too. How do you mean, Stephen? In what way can't you have your cake and eat it too? And how does that relate to what we're discussing now? I know JVB earns like insane amounts of money, and I think JVB is probably the one in here who is the closest to becoming a billionaire. But I know he's a nice guy, even though he's that like filthy rich, like some people would say. He's still a good guy. Otherwise, he wouldn't be hanging around here. So, yeah, money is a hot topic that we feel a lot about, that we have a lot of resistance. And the reason I bring up all these things around money is because when you have all those feelings around money, that means that you can never put yourself in a position where money is easy. What if you didn't have to work hard to get money? What would that be like? Is it okay to not work hard, or do you have to work hard to get that money? I'm seeing that a little bit in what you said, Shalev. Like, no, it has to be ethical and like do that. Like, it's just, Stephen, people may spend their lives making money, but don't have time to spend on spiritual growth. Yeah. I mean, that's a choice they make. I don't want to make that choice, but if they make it, why not? I think that's their choice. It's not for us to feel bad about that. People make all kinds of weird choices that I disagree with. But if they want to do that, then fine. If they come to a point where they go like, oh, actually, this didn't give me what I thought it would, then come and talk to me and I'd be happy to discuss it. But there's no reason why we should feel bad or have a resistance towards them living their lives that way. Unless we're going to do something about it, then, because we don't need to feel bad to do something about it. We can still do something about it and enjoy our lives. And we'll also take away a lot of anger and resentment in the world, because a lot of the problems we have in the world today is this resistance that we're having towards things the whole time, how we're pushing and pulling, how we're reacting towards things, how we're angry at people doing what they shouldn't do. And by all means, do something about it. There's a lot of stuff today that people should do something about, and could do something about, and that would make the world a better place. But the problem is that we do it with so much anger and so much hatred that we no longer see the other person as a person. We see them as an enemy or someone of the opposite political party, and they're not worthy to live even. So it's okay to go out and hurt them. Shalev is saying, I think I also worry about people not being able to afford my services. If I'm doing something I genuinely believe is helping people, if I charge more than more than charge more than I'm excluding people who can't afford. Yeah, but that's like, you're always doing that. Because like I said, as we said again, the people who did the rubber farming in Sri Lanka, they earned $50 per day. Like, you're excluding them unless you're doing it pro bono. Like, there's no way you could include them. Shalev, so I'm considering a sliding scale payment system or something. Yeah, I did a lot of thinking about that before as well, and like it's a really Buddhist way to approach it, but also it just causes a lot of problems, like when you do that as well, and you also attract different kinds of customers, because people who simply can barely afford your services and then they buy it, they tend to cause a lot of problems also, because they want so much more than the person who has the money and they really want to have the help, and then they buy your service and they're happy with it. But the person who had to like take their last cent to like have you help them, in my experience, that tends to cause more problems. It doesn't mean it can't be fun. It doesn't mean it can't be useful for them or for you. Like, it can still be that, but there needs to be some kind of understanding behind that. And I mean, it's up to you if you want to do that. If I had the audience where I could charge more and I could have still have enough to, because I need to earn money as well. Like, I need to live. In Sweden, we pay 60% taxes on everything we earn. So if I earn $100, what I get to keep is $40 from 100 to 40. So I actually need to earn quite a bit of money to make that work. So if I would charge a sliding scale and do everything pro bono, then like I simply couldn't work with that. But if I did do that, then in my opinion, what I would like to do is then I would charge money from the people who can afford it. And then I would do free stuff like this. Like, this is also, from my perspective, something I'm doing for free. I'm doing YouTube videos. That's also for free. I do other stuff that I do for free that people can get. But then if you really want to work with me personally, then that's something you pay for. So it's not just that you need to put a lower price on you, because when you put a lower price on you, that also puts a value on you. Sliding scale payment. The main thing here is to look at, do you have any resistance towards that? And is the reason you want to put a sliding scale because you're worried that you're not worthy of it? Or is it that you're worried that people can't afford it? And if so, why is that a problem? Like, why does everyone need to afford your service? Because like we said, there's always going to be people who can't afford your service. You'd have to price it for free, because there's people who can't afford anything at all. And you're going to exclude them as well. And then we come back again to this, okay, there's a limit to when you feel uncomfortable when you earn too much, but also a limit when you earn too little. So if you would charge the person in Sri Lanka who earns 50 pence per day, if you would charge them 1 pence, you would say like, no, then I'd rather do it for free, or I'd not do it because it doesn't feel comfortable for me. You'd be below that limit where you felt like, I can't do this. That would very likely be below that. Or let's say you do all of your customers that way, because then you simply couldn't live. I'm assuming where you live that you can't live from, 1 pence from everyone you do. Like, that's just not possible. So there's a lot of beliefs around this that makes it so difficult for us to earn money, because then we go around and we feel bad about this instead of just seeing it realistically. Like, what kind of audience do you have, like for your products or services, and are you able? What kind of money are they able to pay you? And then that's what you do. If you're all of a sudden able to target a income bracket that is higher, then why not do that? And if you wanted to, you could have different services for different groups of targets of people. Like I said, for me, I see the YouTube channel and these streams. That's something I do for free. And I really, because I just like doing it. I don't need to do this, but I really like doing these streams and the YouTube videos is something I do because it's fun. But I also, if I wanted to live from this, need to think about, I need to make money from it. And right now I'm not. So if I would actually want to be able to do that, then I would need to make sure that it gave enough money that I could live from it, which would mean that I could do more videos and help more people and do more streams, and I could create courses, I could create other things that could help more people. So it's not as black as white as it might seem. Shalev, yeah, there probably is also some insecurity around justifying charging a large amount of money. Something like imposter syndrome. Yeah, and imposter syndrome, what is that? It's just a feeling of feeling uncomfortable. Like I work with people who have imposter syndrome, and it's very interesting when you start like taking this away to see like what's underneath the imposter syndrome, because there's something there. that just means they feel uncomfortable about something. And when you start looking at that uncomfortableness, then you can start taking that away, and you can actually just do what you do because you feel like, well, I don't need to uphold this image. Many times it's an image you're trying to uphold that's unreasonable, or that is just in you. Like, you just have the idea that you need to be this super person who comes in and does whatever it is. As I said, the people who have money and have the money that they can pay for it, they probably would not feel you're imposter because they're used to paying money for stuff. The people who don't have any money, who like saved every last penny to be able to buy this service from you or product from you, they would have very high standards of what you're supposed to deliver to them compared to the people. So in many ways, it makes more sense. You'd have happier customers if you charge a higher price, within reason. Because if you charge $1 million per hour, I mean, Tony Robbins might, I'm not sure he could charge for an hour. Yeah, he probably could. I think he probably charges $1 million per hour. I actually think I've heard something like that. But that's like one person out of everyone. I don't know how many people can charge that kind of money. It's probably not a lot of people who charges that kind of money for coaching or whatever he does. So looking at this insecurity, if you look at the feeling behind that, then you say, oh, actually, I just felt insecure about that. Well, that means that I no longer have a resistance to putting it. Let's just say, for you and the thing you're talking about, Shaleb, if you didn't have that insecurity about charging money, and if you didn't feel bad about putting the price you thought you actually were worthy of, like whatever that may be, like I'm not here to say what that is, but whatever you feel like, no, this is the kind of money I would need to make a living, like whatever that may be, and I want to have more, not just like make it through, like this is what I want. Like if you would take away the resistance towards that, if you would look at the feeling of being an imposter that you have underneath that, what you would do would be what I call path clearing. It's not law of attraction, it's not manifesting your dream life. It would simply mean that you would feel okay with doing that, so that when you sit down and you write out the pricing, you could put the price you actually believe in, and you wouldn't feel bad because when people call you up, and I mean, I never have this. I think I'm severely undercharging everyone for coaching, even if I do it in full price or whatever I do. It's like right now I'm doing a special thing because I'm testing out a new system. So then I have half price off, which is crazy cheap for, I think. But even the normal price that I have is way below what I feel that I should or could be able to charge for what I have experience and can share. But that doesn't matter because I'm not able to charge that kind of money. I don't have those kind of customers. So then you have to be realistic about it. But I don't have to battle the guilt or the feeling like, oh, I can't charge this kind of money. Like, oh, am I worthy of this? Is this okay? Like that goes away. And then it's simply a matter of saying, okay, well, I can charge this and people are paying this. Good, then I pay that. I charge that. And then if you have, like, you can't sell enough products, or because you don't have enough products, or you can't give enough of your service, well, then you raise the price until demand and supply and demand like matches some kind of balance. Like, why not? Stephen, so as long as you're not making money authentically, unethically, we're fine. Yeah, for me at least. But then we come into the question, what is unethically? I have a friend who is really into AI, and he believes that everyone who charges anything for anything that has to do with AI are just crooks. So if you build an AI service with, say, an accounting bot that does accounting for you, he thinks that's like a crook. No, you should instead be teaching them how to do that themselves, because it's so easy to do in his mind. This guy is like a genius with AI. Like, I talk to him and I can barely follow what he says. Well, I'm pretty good with AI myself, but like I can't really understand it at the level he talks about it. And he's taught me a lot, but I simply don't have the time or the energy or the interest to get into it as much as he does, to just develop the stuff he does. But for him, that's unethical to then make something and sell it, because he doesn't believe that's okay. So I don't find that unethical. Would you find that unethical? But in his eyes, it is unethical. So being unethical is a matter of what norms are we following. There are rules and there are laws that we need to follow that say certain things. We need to stay within those limits, because otherwise we go to jail, or that's illegal. That's a different thing. But unethical is a highly vague word that can mean many different things. So again, if we look at all these resistances, money just becomes another thing you do. Just like we go shopping for food, or we go to the gym to train. Like, it's just, well, to go to the gym to train. If you go there and just like, I mean, Stephen is like beef as heck. Like, I wish I was beef like him. If I would go to the gym and just start like lifting a weight like this, kind of like that, like, oh yeah, this is probably fine, and I do once, twice, do here, and I take it really heavy, and I do something like this, and I hurt my back. Like, that would not be a good way to get beef like Stephen. There are ways that he could teach me how to get beef, like, because he has more knowledge about that. So I don't have to go to the gym and feel bad, like, oh, I shouldn't get strong because people with muscles, like, they're bad people. That's basically what we're saying about money. Some people are just better people but better skilled at making money. But the problem is that even if you were skilled at it, you very likely have all these things, like you were bringing up, Shaleb, that you have in the way that makes it very difficult for you to earn money, because you put all these hindrances and all these things in the way, so that when you start coming down to charging money, well, I can't have a profit more than 20%, like more than that is not okay. 100%, no, I can't have 100%. No, that's not, I'm not comfortable with. Whatever that is for you, we put these limits that makes it very difficult for us to actually earn money. Whereas if you took them away, then it would simply be, okay, this is like a company, there's supply and demand. I need to have these kind of profits to make it profitable to buy in these things or sell them, or to work as a consultant or a coach or a repairman or whatever you do. It's just plus and minuses. You take away the drama, the emotion around it, and it's just a matter of balancing the equation. And the equation need to balance where you earn enough money so that you're comfortable. And that will then determine how much you need to work. Unless you can come up with a system where you don't have to work so much to make that kind of money, which might be unethical for some people, because if we don't work physically, then we shouldn't earn money, some people would say. I just had a discussion with someone today who thought that was terrible, that people can now like do things at home with AI that someone else had to do before, because now they don't have to work. But that means that's unethical in her view. But in my view, that means that, well, now I have the power to not need to buy those services from everyone. I can do that myself. So in my opinion, that gives me the ability to make an easier life. It gives everyone the ability. They don't need to have the skills that we needed before, or the money that we needed to before to hire a market accountant, a market consultant, because you could just develop one in AI. Granted, they're not as good as a real one, but you get my point. So yeah, money is a really hot topic, and it's an interesting topic because there is so much emotion. Like I said, when I do coaching and we get into money, that can take a long time. That can take a really long time, because there's like family, like how we did with money in our family, or I earn money because my father would always say I was a good boy or a good girl when I earned lots of money, like that I got respect from my friends, or I had a girlfriend who liked me when, like, whatever it is, or a boyfriend. Like, we have a lot of distortions around money that make it very difficult for us to be happy and feel content while we're making money, because we're constantly having these other things. So I highly recommend you to look into these things, because it just clears the path to then start making money. Because just like Stephen said, we need money to live in society. That's just how it is. We need a certain amount of money. It's probably much less than you think you need. But at the same time, why not earn a good living so that you can live a comfortable life and buy the things you want to buy and go on the trips you want to do? You don't need to live in excess. Like, we don't need to completely go bananas, but why not have 2 cars? Why not have a new car? Like, if you wanted that, like, that's fine. Very interesting topic, and yeah, I'm really always, when I get into talking about this, I find it so interesting to see how much stuff people carry with them. I'm just amazed at how we manage to make it so difficult to earn money. Just because you don't have that resistance towards it doesn't, unfortunately, mean that the money is just going to magically appear in your life. But it means that at least you're not resisting it. If the opportunity comes, you're willing to take it. If you want to do something by yourself, you're not actively sabotaging it for yourself. Nice. Today is Monday, so we actually have a guided meditation tonight. It's a little bit later than I was hoping because it was a fun topic and you guys asked questions. And I really enjoy that because that makes it easier for me and more fun to me also to discuss it, because we can have a conversation about it rather than me just like freestyling. And we steer the conversation in a way that is relevant to you. So I'm grateful that you ask questions. But we'll make the meditation... I usually do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method, but we'll just skip that today and jump right into the meditation, so it doesn't get too late, because I'm quite tired. As you know, I take painkillers or like nerve suppressors. Is that what you call it? Like it calms down the nervous system. So I'm quite tired most of the time of the day. So we'll sit for 20 minutes. There will be guidance, and then after that, it's time. If you have any questions, by the way, I'll say before we start meditating, feel free to write on Discord or send me an email, and I'd be happy to talk more about it. So to begin with, as usual, I want you to start bringing your awareness to your breath. Just be aware of breath happening inside of you. We're not really trying to observe every single nuance of the breath. Instead, we're just using the breath as an anchor, as a vehicle for our awareness to stay centered, to stay calm, to stay focused on something. The whole reason that we're doing this is so that we can be aware of what emotional state we're in right now. Because just as we were talking about before, the reason that we make it difficult to earn money for ourselves, the reason that we make it difficult for us to find a partner, or the reason that we make it difficult to actually have a nice evening with our family, a lot of that comes from the emotions that flare up when things don't go the way we want them to go, or when they go outside of the parameters that we have set up for what is considered okay or not okay. So when you're at home with the family and the kids don't want to go to bed when you tell them to, just because you decided to, then you feel bad. There's feelings inside of your resistance, of annoyance, and of this shouldn't be like this, and this is not okay. And so you're ruining this moment that you have just because people aren't agreeing with your plan of what reality should be like. And that could be said the same way about money. When we earn less money than we feel comfortable earning, then all of a sudden we feel bad. And we start resisting that. And we have a lot of uncomfortable feelings inside of us saying that this is unfair, I'm worthy of so much more, I shouldn't have to struggle like this. There are other people who don't have to work at all and born into a rich life. Why couldn't I be like that? Now, if you don't notice that and just have that running in the background, what do you think the odds are of you being creative and coming up with a way to actually earn more money? What do you think the odds are of when you go to an interview and you feel that you're deserving of something, or that you feel unfairly treated, that they will pick up on that and maybe not have the same kind of rapport with you, to feel as comfortable with you working for them as they would if you just were okay with whatever it is, and then taking what opportunities and difficulties you have and then just doing the best you can with that. Because life is unfair in many ways. We should all have been born with a golden spoon in our mouth. I mean, I wish I was. I would absolutely not be complaining if that was my life. And I think I could thoroughly enjoy that. And if you are born with a golden spoon, Don't go away and just waste that opportunity. Be happy for it. It's an incredible gift that you got. In fact, all of us born here in the West, if you're looking at this from somewhere in the West, are very much born with the golden spoon in their mouth. Because in comparison to people who don't live here, we have it so much better than they could ever imagine, even if we're just scraping and getting by. In fact, when I was in Sri Lanka, it was very common that they would send one of their sons or daughters to Europe to earn money and then send back to Sri Lanka. And they would do anything to get here, but it was very difficult for them to get a visa to come to Europe. So they would have to pay a lot of money to do that, but they would have given anything just to have a passport that was from anywhere in Europe or America or whatever they wanted to go. And you just got that for free. That's an opportunity. There is something you have that they don't. So when you look at what emotion you're having towards money, or that you're having towards finding a partner, or whatever it is that you want to create in your life, you can be aware of the resistances that come up. And as I said, if you all of a sudden started earning way much more money than you were comfortable with, you would feel uncomfortable. That would make you feel uncomfortable and like, oh, this is not really okay. I shouldn't be earning this kind of money. Like, no, and you'd find some kind of way of wasting that opportunity, losing the job, losing the money, and not being able to keep it. But by constantly being aware of your emotional state, again, I'm not saying be aware of your breath every single minute of the day, because that requires tremendous effort and is possible to do if you're in a meditation center. But even then, it's a difficult task to do. Whereas being aware of your emotional mood, that is much easier. And what that gives you is something practical that you can work with, because that will show you exactly where you have your triggers. It will show you throughout the day when you get triggered and you have a distortion towards something, when you feel irritated, when you feel mistreated. Again, that doesn't mean just stay there and let people mistreat you, but it means that you notice that you're now choosing to feel bad because of some kind of outer circumstance. Why is that? Why do you think it's okay to ruin this moment, which is the only moment you'll ever have, just because of something happening on the outside? We start noticing how we sabotage our own lives, how we make it so difficult to be happy, how when we go outside of our comfort zone, where we either, if we look in the world of dating, if you date someone that you don't think is good enough for you, then you will probably mistreat them so that you will then leave them and find someone else. But also if you have someone who you consider to be too good for you, then you will probably come up with some way of making them feel uncomfortable, because you're showing them so clearly that you don't deserve them, that they will leave you. It doesn't really matter if we're talking about money, relationships, getting buff at the gym, whatever it is that we do, it's the same story, just repeating in different places in our lives. And when you realize how much easier life would be if you simply stop resisting it, if you start trying to control every single part that's happening all the time, and just focus on enjoying whatever it is that's happening around you, you notice that people just like you more. People just have an easier time being around you, and surprise, surprise, you have an easier time being around them. And the only thing it takes is to just start moving your awareness to your breath, and from your breath, being aware of your emotions. What's going on right now? What am I resisting? What am I craving, feeling that is not a good moment to be alive right now, but if I would just have that thing over there, then it would be a good life. Then I could be happy. There are always things that can bring us out of this moment. Just before now, I was laying in the hammock with my kids playing around us, and we had eaten food, and It was a warm summer evening here in Sweden, and I felt like just pure enjoyment of being here, and I felt so good just lying there. And I could not have been happier if we were on vacation. But it's very easy to believe that we need to go on vacation to feel good. It's very easy to believe that, oh, actually, if I would have had a bigger house, then I would have enjoyed lying in the hammock and having the sun on my back and my kids playing around me. Then I could have enjoyed that more. Or if I would have just had a better job, then I could have enjoyed this moment more. But now I'm going to ruin this moment because of things on the outside or the inside not being in alignment with what I think I should have. Me, 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 me. We're so focused on me, not just having, but also how important it is that I do things so that I can protect this image of me, so that it looks good to other people, so that other people won't say that, oh, look at that greedy bastard. He's charging too much money for his products or his services. Oh, I don't like him. Well, if you just look at anyone else, like just ask what Bill Gates would charge to have a help from the board, like come work at a company's board. And no one would say like, oh, he's not worth the money. He's like, yeah, of course we just pay him. Like he's the best at whatever he does. So the reason we focus on the breath is so that we can be aware of the emotions we go through on a daily basis. And we're not trying to suppress our emotions, but we're also not trying to express them. And instead, we're just trying to notice what is happening with them throughout the day and be sure to lean into enjoyment and appreciation of being right here with whatever is going on around us or inside of us. So for now, just bring your awareness back to your breath and use that as your anchor as you're looking around and seeing, what are my emotions telling me right now? Why am I not feeling relaxed and comfortable right now? What is preventing that? Does that make sense? Why am I making myself feel bad now for something that isn't even happening now? Because right now, I'm not sitting holding all the money that I have in my bank account, or right now, I'm not hugging and kissing the partner that I have or don't have. Nothing's changed. You're just sitting with your eyes closed, listening to this random dude on the internet spewing lots of stuff that may or may not make sense to you. And in the end, just allow yourself to relax and enjoy being here. It's enough. There's really nothing else you need to do. As you've been sitting there for a while, observing your emotions running around, using your breath as your anchor, I want you to ask yourself, how much money is it okay for you to earn? How little money is it okay for you to earn? And I want you to look at that resistance and see, are you able to just let that be? Do you need to do anything about that? Would it be okay if you actually earned 10 times more than you currently do? Would it be okay if you earned 10 times less, or a tenth of what you earn today? Just look at the emotional distortion you have towards money, up and down. And just see if it's okay to be okay with whatever it is. In other words, could it be that your happiness is not related to how much you earn or don't earn? Could it be that happiness is just what's there when you stop resisting it? Because ultimately, what we want from money is to be able to be ourselves. And the reason we want to be ourselves is to be happy. Thank you so much for today. And thank you for the questions and the input. I really enjoyed it. It's a topic I always find fun, and there's so much stuff to look at, so that makes it extra fun. I hope you'll have a great week, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again on Thursday. Enjoy your week, and I'll see you then. Thank you.